Hello, my name is Brandon Sandoval, and today my presentation will focus on the perceived educational crisis amongst the Hispanic American community. Now, to give you some background as to why I chose this topic to discuss. Firstly, I am Hispanic and partly a first-generation American. Hispanics have become and are still becoming a large part of American society, with nearly 30 million people encompassing several different ethnic groups, such as Mexican American, Puerto Rican, Dominican, etc. I chose this topic because of the importance of education and its relation to the overall success and sustainability of the Hispanic population. Hispanics in the United States suffer from high rates of poverty due to the lack of higher education, crucial educational development, and minimal opportunities. Because Hispanics lack these things, a constant cycle of poverty is hardly broken, which creates a community doomed to never establish itself amongst the ranks of success in the United States. This pegs the question, is there a solution? Unfortunately, there isn't only one clearly defined solution to this problem of society and culture. However, I do believe that consistent educational support and development through early adulthood can make a huge impact on the success of Hispanic students. Support could be as simple as scholarships and grants offering financial security to advisors and counselors, specifically focusing on Hispanic students. Development could be any training or practice in preparation for graduation or professional endeavors. The bottom line is that Hispanic students would be more likely to graduate if they received something that produces accountability, i.e., holds them accountable, or provides incentive. Now, my proposal is addressed to the HACU, also known as the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, and more specifically, their Chief Advocacy Officer, Luis Maldonado. The reason for my choice is due to the HACU's involvement in Hispanic higher education issues, and contacting their Chief Advocacy Officer means that I am contacting the person who will advocate the most for Hispanic higher education issues. So to speak, Luis Maldonado is the person who advocates for the HACU. Now, some of the reasons of the Hispanic education crisis. A reason for the crisis itself, as pointed out by Ruben Martinez, is deeply rooted in social inequality and its perception amongst Hispanic students. Because of the lack of Hispanic leaders in higher education administrations, Hispanic students have this view that there are no successful Hispanic graduates, thus providing no motivation to pursue any type of academic career or education in general. If there were more Hispanic role models who have succeeded in graduating and found success in post-graduation, more Hispanics would be motivated to try and reach higher levels of success. Another major reason for the Hispanic educational crisis is the economic factors affecting Hispanic students. Hispanics are generally very poor, with more Hispanic children living in poverty than any other racial or ethnic group. This is to the tune of 6.1 million in 2010. Also, poverty isn't necessarily reserved for Hispanic immigrants, with the majority of Hispanic children living in poverty being naturally born of the United States or having parents who were native born. As a result of these disparities, Hispanic students are overrepresented in lower educational outcomes, while nationally they tend to have lower grades, lower scores on standardized tests, and higher dropout rates than other students from other ethnic groups. This is all a result of poverty and its effect on education within the Hispanic community. Now, when it comes to the topic of poverty and its relation to education, a key distinction must be made in the sense of how poverty affects Hispanic students' progression throughout school. Because of the inability to afford a four-year institution, many students are left with the option of community college, which is generally more affordable and a pathway to a bachelor degree. However, because of this, many Hispanic students are disproportionately enrolled in two-year institutions. This is roughly about 49%, while the other half are attending four-year institutions. On paper, yes, they are attending higher education institutions, but they are not attending institutions that promote graduation of a bachelor's degree, which can be a waste of precious time and money. Now, when it comes to the topic of immigration and its effect on Hispanic students, the topic of Americanization is brought up. While it is true that successive generations of Hispanics tend to outperform their parents, it is only true because their parents are uneducated. While immigration causes some of the crisis by lack of understanding of American schools and education, the main issue is in the loss of immigrant optimism. The loss of this optimism is due to the embrace of American culture. Studies show the polarity between beliefs of immigrant Hispanic students and their natively born Hispanic counterparts. Because of this, the low educational attainment of Hispanics is not solely the result of large amounts of undereducated immigrants entering the public school system, but the result of circumstances encountered by Hispanic students born in the U.S. Lastly, another major reason for the Hispanic educational crisis is due to the lack of teacher and student interaction. As previously mentioned, there are no single end-all solutions, but various intervention-based solutions. One of these more important solutions is teacher-student interaction. Because teachers are unable to connect with Hispanic students will tend to not accept their teachers' credibility. This results in feelings of low expectations, which will ultimately discourage and withdraw the students. Altogether, this results in a lifelong problem with succession throughout the educational system. Some of the challenges that I found while researching this topic had to do with the broadness of focus, what defines the educational crisis, and also an information overload. Because of the severity of the topic, there were tons of articles, journals, and blogs relating to the topic itself. Also, a major challenge was cohering to political correctness and making sure that nobody was offended in the making of this presentation. These are my references. Thank you for listening to my presentation about the educational crisis amongst the Hispanic community.